Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. All right, and we're back. We've been off for about a month and a half, a little bit of a break for me, and obviously, Steve, you've had a few bits and pieces going on. And then, of course, and I have to have a little bit of a whinge about this, my internet went out for a little while after an upgrade to the building, which wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously, the end result's good because they've upgraded the building to 1,000 megabits down and up, which is awesome. I'm not going to be paying for that plan because it's kind of expensive, but I did get a bit of a boost in my overall thing. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you think everything just works perfectly 100% of the time, but as soon as a cable gets cut somewhere, it doesn't. All of a sudden, you're not there. I was having like a 90s, early 90s kind of experience there for about a week, not being connected. And actually, I kind of liked it. It was like, oh, yeah, I remember this.
Look, Ben, it's great to be back. It's good news. We're back and we've got a lot to talk about. And I'm glad you've got an internet connection to say, so you can appear on the screen for us.
Yeah, it's kind of important when you do a podcast like this at any rate. Alrighty, so I thought, well, we might as well do one science, one tech, and one culture topic here. And we'll start with, I guess, the culture topic, which is to do with film. And this will come as a surprise since I haven't been to the cinema in over 3 years. But I did manage to catch Avatar: The Way of Water recently. And look, I was a sucker, I was in the cinema, I was getting all excited as I used to in the good old days, and I thought of all the people that could have come up with something great, it would have to be James Cameron. Now, how should I put this? I'll start with the good parts. If you can think of like the absolute top tier, like Hollywood visual effects, execution, like right at the top, double it for this film because it's truly stunning to look at visually, and obviously the audio visual combined. So I'd actually argue that there's probably a case to pay for an IMAX ticket to go see it and just experience the visuals of it, because there's something that he did there that was actually kind of quite good, because he takes it to a level of detail that just other directors don't bother, because he's spending 10 years refining every single little shot in there or whatever. But for me, I just like, some of the action was good, but I'm just perplexed by how people think that this was just absolutely amazing when, like, the story, I don't know how he managed to do it, but it is a little bit more original than the first one, but it's somehow less interesting. And on top of that, it was just like this rambly, long-winded script that went nowhere in a few places. There was like 45 minutes of Pandora porn where it was just, oh wow, doesn't this look great? And all I was doing was I was like looking at the watch going, all right, we can move it along, guys. Let's get going with this. And it just it felt like an undisciplined script. That was the bit that blew my mind, because this is James Cameron. Like, I'm not saying that he necessarily comes up with the most original scripts, but the man knows how to execute a script, even if it's not terribly original. And I just was wondering, it's wandering all over the place. The dialogue's terrible. There's and I guess all modern films are guilty of this. There was the scenes that were put in there that have no reason to be in there other than to set up sequels. And to me, the capper on top of it at the end was that something happens at the end of the film that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. No one in their right mind would do what this character does. I'm amazed that Cameron allowed it, because it's completely illogical, and the only reason for it was to keep the villain alive at the end so he can be in the next film. And that's the bit and that's kind of how I kind of feel about the whole film in general. It just I was really wanting to like it, because I thought, look, if it's gonna be anyone, it's gonna be him that pulls it. But no, the stakes were, I thought, lower than the earlier film. Like So it felt smaller, even though it's supposed to be this gargantuan film. And then I guess before we get in, we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but the thing that blows my mind still is it's the third highest grossing film of all time. And there is this reaction that it's the most amazing thing people have ever seen. And I'm like, well, I could agree on the visuals that they're outstanding, but and maybe I'm a bit old school with this, but if the story ain't good, or the story isn't well done, or it's the script isn't good and the characterization isn't good, I really couldn't care less about the visuals because it just fell flat. And I knew when that was happening, I was about an hour in, and almost unconsciously, my hand I started doing this, and then I was like, nah, this just isn't working. So I don't know. I mean, that's probably not surprising from your perspective, I'm sure, because it's kind of in line with everything we've been talking about with movies up until this point. It's just that it seems to have hit James Cameron as well.
Yeah, look, I really don't know what to say. From your description, it sounds exactly like going to the IMAX to see the original Avatar, I don't know, 15 years ago or whenever it was. So I guess what can I say? I learnt from seeing the Alien prequel that just because you've got a great director, you might get a very dud product, and there was a lot of illogical and things that didn't even match up with the original Alien in that. But getting back to this, you wonder now maybe the studios really do dictate to the directors that they should put in that extra 45 minutes of visuals. And maybe now we've got an audience that just pays to go to the cinema, and a bad experience is as good as a good one.
Or maybe they don't care.
I can't explain it otherwise.
Or maybe they don't care. Like, as long as you're getting those little hits, those dopamine hits, I guess maybe that's enough. You think you're seeing something great when you're actually not, because you're not actually intellectually engaging with the thing. It's just it's an experience that you're sitting through, kind of thing.
Well, if you would equate that with social media, which is probably where most of the publicity is pitched, and the great reviews all appear on social media. I saw the film; it was fantastic. And if you get 40 posts like that, you'll probably go there and think it's fantastic too, even if you didn't enjoy it. I do wonder whether our attention spans are so short that maybe you're right. Maybe you go there and you see 4 or 5 things in the film and that satisfies you, and the story is very secondary to that. I get it, amazing visuals. That's why we like fireworks. But geez, I wouldn't pay, $20 to sit there for 3 hours to watch the same fireworks over and over.
Mm. And the cynic in me was wondering whether, because James Cameron's an intelligent guy, I just wonder if he knows this as well. And to him, it just, I'll just do whatever, and I don't have to be as tight as I normally am with these things.
Ben, he couldn't not know.
Yep. Absolutely.
Unless he never actually watched the film. Maybe he just, shot it.
Yeah, and the AI edited it for him or something.
Yeah, and just left it. Well, maybe it means there'll be an Avatar Way of the Water director's cut somewhere down the track. Can you
imagine a 4-hour version of this thing? Oh, yeah.
A 4-hour version that makes sense. I don't know.
One last thing on this, and I won't labour the point, but the one where I have seen some criticism when it's minor, you don't see too much of it out there, at least from what I can tell, at least from in mainstream wise, is that there was a comparison made to George Lucas actually with this, in the sense that it's a little bit like the Star Wars prequels, that maybe nobody's saying no to him anymore, that he's God, he knows he's untouchable, he's had the 2 top grossing films ever. Now he's got the 3rd, and don't say no to him. Whereas he might have listened to maybe some feedback before or something like that to tighten things up or make it better. And maybe he's just in a place now where it's all yes men.
That sounds to me like studio talk for them hiding the fact that they screwed up the film and they want to shift it his way.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess I'll be blacklisted now. No Oscar for me.
No worries. But I guess we can revisit this in 2 years' time when Avatar 3 comes out.
God, yeah, okay. Maybe I'll psych myself up for the next 2 years and go and see that sequel.
Apparently, it's coming to Disney Plus soon. This second one, so I don't know. Maybe you can just stream it for free and then not get 3 hours of your life back. There you go.
At least on Disney Plus, I can fast forward.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Alrighty, let's move on. And I was kind of excited by this one. Melbourne scientists find enzyme that can make electricity out of tiny amounts of hydrogen. Now, obviously, this isn't like a eureka thing where we can magically start, sucking the air out of the air, so to speak, or the hydrogen out of the air, and we've got baseload power. This is more about powering small devices like watches and maybe heart rate monitors and things like that at a much smaller scale. But it's still quite an interesting thing that, that they were able to sort of like study this bacteria that sort of does this and sort of replicate it in a way that is sort of like an entirely natural kind of way to generate electricity. Even if it's in small amounts, it could still play a part, like, so to speak.
Yeah, look, this is amazing. We shouldn't be surprised. I mean, we generate electricity within our bodies, gradients, and that's how we, message throughout our bodies, with little electrical impulses. So there's definitely these enzymes that exist in nature that can be used in these ways. I think this is fascinating. I think it's amazing. And I think it'll give rise eventually to biological solutions to energy. And, maybe it is only small devices that it would work for, but potentially you could scale it one day. But the fact is it's, it's one less engineered component. It's one less mind component if you're using enzymes. So, that's got to be a good thing as well.
And it's good that it's getting notice, I guess. Although I guess the prevailing narrative is shifting towards trying to find alternative sources of energy and where we can get them from in a more sustainable way. So I guess this kind of feeds into that.
Anything that's biological tends to be more sustainable. So, just think if we don't need to recharge, a billion Fitbits around the world because they're powered by, a device that can do this naturally, that's fantastic.
Might be a reason for me to get an Apple Watch now, maybe. I guess we'll see.
I think it'll be a while before this makes it commercial, but you never know.
Absolutely. All right, and just finally, I was watching a video on the YouTube channel, Mark Ellis Reviews. I'd watch a couple of his because occasionally, he has some sort of interesting full and frank kind of admissions that sometimes you don't see on some other channels. And he was fairly talking about this idea of clickbaiting in in a smartphone review, for instance, in order to get to trick, I guess would be the way to call it, the YouTube algorithm into directing traffic to the video. And he kind of utilized this example where he put a video up with a title that apparently didn't work and it tanked, it didn't get views, and then he went in later, changed it to a clickbait headline, and all of a sudden it didn't top his videos, but it went real close to the top in terms of generating view count. And I guess I wanted to dwell on this from the perspective that it's interesting that you have to jump through these hoops, because he also made the point that if you're in the top tier YouTube content creator community, you actually don't have to do this because they just give the traffic to you already, which then leads me to think that they are now, this algorithm and their platform is like the ultimate gatekeeper for content creation, and YouTube is really the only one. And it's kind of interesting that it's sort of segued from the good old days where you would go to movie studios or TV channels, TV networks, I guess, to get your content broadcast, and you'd have to go through them and satisfy all their requirements. Yeah. But instead of negotiating with a couple of guys in a boardroom or something, you're dealing with an algorithm that's kind of effectively doing the same thing, but it's just not a person you're dealing with now. I just find that interesting that that's kind of where it gravitated towards when we're supposed to be in the democratization of the internet and anyone can do anything.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. I mean, I don't know what the situation is now, say, with app stores, but originally, certainly 5 or 6 years ago, Apple was still curating with a human, like their apps and promoting certain apps, through a human sort of response. I don't know now whether that's become an algorithm. I think, with music the way it is now, they're using algorithms more and more to predict what might be popular or what might sell. And I think, you can do it with video, you can do it with SEO, with titling, with knowing what users' patterns are. I mean, I think there's two parts to this. It's not just that you can put a clickbait heading on to a video, but there's now, I mean, Google knows, or YouTube, if you want to separate it down, knows what people respond to and knows what they want to see. And I wonder, if you can really post a video now, because I've certainly seen them, that has very little to do with the title. And, you see traffic going there and you just wonder, a bit like Avatar. The video is not very satisfying when you get there, but geez, it's got a lot of views. I don't, is that the way the world's going? Are we becoming more tuned to algorithms, or are we actually being trained or tricked to accept this as normal?
And the one other thing that I wanted to mention, which I saw in a different video actually, was this whole thing about subscriber count and how even if you've got like 1 million subscribers, it doesn't mean that that video is the new video you put up actually gets fed to them. Like that's kind of where it's gotten to now. So you would think that, okay, maybe not all of them would have seen it, but if you've got 1 million subscribers, you'd probably expect a couple of 100,000 views off the bat. But apparently that's not guaranteed because the algorithm is still SEOing you out of existence if it doesn't like the title or whatnot.
That's right, and that's really the point I was trying to make before, which is they know what people want to watch, and they probably have a number of algorithms in there that are selecting that, and one's also, your ability to promote or create, I guess, revenue for YouTube through it. And it knows. Also knows what its relevance would be to each viewer. So I don't think any of us on the outside can actually understand what level of sophistication there is in the AI and the back end. But I think it would be playing into this at a number of levels: the revenue level, the interest level, and engagement level. Very interesting, though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we might wrap it up there, Steve. Interesting that whole thing about YouTube, etc., because it is a way for people to get out. But it's interesting how maybe a lot of platforms, once they consolidate and mature, whether they're analog, digital, internet, whatever, it's funny how they always sort of start to go down a similar path over time as they become big enough.
Yeah, that's right. I think, when you think of the scale of YouTube, or any of your socials, there's no way any human could curate or make these decisions. You have to go to an algorithm. And, the problem, or the downside of that, it's not a problem. I guess just the downside of that is algorithms, work the same way every time. And eventually the data, as it becomes smarter, reinforces, I guess, the algorithm's outcomes. And because of that, you then actually end up with a very narrow band or a very narrow scope of product, of engagement, of interest. And you lose the joy of discovery because you just won't find some things even if you search for them because they sit outside the parameters that are either around your profile or around the profile of the content. So, yeah, it's fascinating. I wish someone would come out and explain a little bit more to us about how it all works. I'd love to know.
Well, in the meantime, it probably means like if you see a title on this particular video that says something like 5 reasons why Avatar 2 sucks, that might be the that's what we're talking about.
I like it. Yeah. Why don't you try it out?
Yeah, I might just do that. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. Don't forget to check out our website, scitechculture.com. You can get links. You can get our links to our content there through YouTube and Vimeo, etc., and watch our videos. And we greatly appreciate you visiting our website. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.